Everyone seems to talk about making loads of money from property, but how do we actually do it? We have to start with your OKRs. Your OKRs are your objective and key result areas. A lot of people, they end up running into property, and I think a lot of it is due to the multi-speaker selling courses where you go for a free weekend and get pitched, run to the back of the room, and I'm not knocking that, by the way. Obviously, it's a business in itself. It's got to make money, but you get excited and you're like, oh my God, that sounds good, but this person's telling me I should do that course. That person's telling me I should do that course. That person's telling me I should do that course. Well, who's right? Well, it really depends on your objectives and the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. So if you just stop for a second and just write down, even pause this video, just write down 1, 2, 3, what are your top 3 outcomes that you want to achieve over the next 5 years. Why is this so important? Well, imagine you're getting into a taxi. You sit in the back and he goes, where to, mate? And you go, drive. So, to where? Just drive. It's like, that would be fucking weird, right? And so instead, what you need to understand is the general direction, or ideally the very specific location that you want to go to. And it's the same with your results. Like, how do you know if you're successful or not? Well, often it's achieving certain results within a bandwidth. But to start that off, you need to understand what are the top 3 objectives, your OKRs, over the next 5 years. Number 2 is get a fundamental understanding of where you're at today. So we've gone to the destination, but where are we starting in the journey? I don't know if you remember at school, we did the Duke of Edinburgh Award. And I remember that we had this set location of where we needed to end up to set up our camp. But one of our first things we then needed to do is figure out where we were on the map. And you do this by looking at your surroundings, etc. But it's the same as where we're at today. Let's say you are watching this and you want to build a £10 million portfolio. By the way, I'm going to say this very clearly. I don't give a shit where you're at right now. Every single one of you can build a £10 million portfolio in your lifetime. 10 years ago, 9.5 to be exact, I started with minus 33,000 and I have a multi 8-figure property portfolio now. And I genuinely, as special as I like to think I am, I'm genuinely not special. It's just following a process. But anyway, little caveat there. So you figured out where you want to go, but understand where you're at. And this is often your time, speciality, your skills, if you like, your knowledge, which is separate from the skills, and your location. And I think location's a really important one because there's certain things I'm going to be able to do with a strong internet connection, phone. Am I traveling around the world? Am I staying in one point? And of course, it's very different where I live, Leeds versus central London. And so when you understand your time that you've got available, your skill set, your knowledge levels, and your location, you can really start to nail down which strategy is going to be right for you. Next is crafting your investment strategy. So let me just go through some. My favorite, boring vanilla buy-to-let properties, but you've also got rent-to-rent, service accommodation, rent-to-service accommodation, commercial conversion, lease options, industrial investments, HMOs. Have I missed something? Almost definitely. There's over 100 different strategies out there. Could be new build, it could be developments, it could be off-plan sales. Whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, each comes with its pros and cons. For example, if you've got decent amount of time, great amount of knowledge, and a great skill set of project management, so you're a bit more still, we call it. Still is a wealth dynamics term. Google it, you'll know what I mean. It's more of a still personality, then commercial conversions might be great for you. You don't need the money now, you've got this long-term aim, you're gonna get a big payday in 2 years. Let's say you're more like me, I am not that, I'm more of a blaze dynamo on wealth dynamics, which means I'm excited, I want to hustle, I want to do deals, I love people. Then something like deal packaging is going to be really good for you. And especially because I started with 0 point fuck all money, in fact I was in negative funds when I started in terms of loans and credit cards, I needed the faster money. And so because I needed that, I went down the deal packaging route. Now that you know your strategy, you need to understand your area. Now you hear blanket terms in property. Property doubles every 10 years. Things like that. And it's like, yeah, in the right locations. You can't just buy some shitty little flat in the middle of nowhere and go, hey, why is there no capital appreciation on this property? It's like, I don't know, because nobody bloody lives there. Capital growth is based, which is the growth of the value of property, by the way, or capital appreciation you might hear. That only happens when there's demand above the amount of supply. The more demand versus supply, the higher the prices go. If there isn't a lot of demand and the supply is pretty strong, then prices will stabilize or go down in time. So you need to understand the population in your area. You need to understand the crime rate in your area. You need to understand the average earnings in your area, the average price point of a property. You need to understand the tenure of property, which is ownership, cash, owned outright, ownership with a mortgage, private rental sector, and social housing, which, by the way, roughly in the UK, 30% is owned outright, 30% is owned with a mortgage, 21% is private rental, private landlords like myself and you maybe in the future, and 19% is social housing. So all of this is really giving you an update of where you want to be at and your understanding. Now, I'm really going to recommend that you leverage online websites. My favorite of this is Property Data. Costs next to nothing and has access to an abundance of information. I'll put a link on there if you want to check it out. I'll put it in the description. You can go on that. But you need to make sure you're utilizing these tools. And a lot of people, they're obsessed with being on the ground and doing the viewings. It's like, you can't just go to an area, look around and go, 26% private landlords in this area. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? No, you don't find that information out. All you can feel is, well, that's it, right? When you go to a viewing, you feel something. You can objectively look at the property, but that's the easy part. But you're not going and walking around the area going, yeah, the stats make sense here. No, 95% of your analysis is online. Now, when you understand your area, it's going to help you narrow down what USPs you can have with your investors when you're raising finance or if you're deal packaging. So you've got a really good idea of where you're going, where you're at, your strategy, your location, your service, and your USPs that you're looking for. USPs being unique selling points. Now that you've got an idea of all of that, finally, we need to look at our financing options. Now, in property, it's a really weird one because you hear people go, you can get involved in property for free. It's a fucking lie. You absolutely cannot. But let's face it, if you're looking to build your portfolio, let's say you, like me, love your boring vanilla buy-to-let properties or service accommodation or any, then it takes money. You know, what's really exciting about property is it can get ill, but it never dies. Which the thing is, as an investment opportunity, that's really exciting. It's not like stocks and shares or crypto that can make money but can also go to zero. Property will never, ever, ever, ever go to zero. And so it's one of the safest investment classes in the world, bar none, but especially in England. Now, why is that a downside? Well, because it takes a lot of money to get involved in this. So let's say you're watching this and you've got 50 grand. It's like, I know this sounds really bad. It's not much better than having zero. And by the way, just caveat that. You should be bloody proud of yourself for getting 50k. That's an insane amount of money. But honestly, if you're watching this and you've got 5 grand, you are not that much as a disadvantage compared to somebody with 50 or 100. Watch some people get pissed off at that comment, by the way. But it's true. The reality is, what? So they're going to buy 1 or 2 properties more than you. That's great. But actually, how do you scale a multi-million pound portfolio? Well, this is done through OPM. OPM is other people's money. You utilize other people's funds. And by the way, I completely get it that if you're watching this and going, why would somebody loan me money when I'm watching a YouTube channel on strategy? I don't know how to raise cash. Well, this is where your own education comes in. Like, if you're not going to invest in yourself and your own education, then why would an investor invest in you? The more you invest, the more you're invested in your own future, and the more invested investors will be as well. That was a bloody mouthful. But the reality is that once you're educated properly, which, by the way, yes, it can be with me, and I would love to help you. And in fact, I'll do a little call to action for you now. Genuinely, if you want to get invested by people that genuinely give a shit about your growth, that actually has a property company doing this stuff, just comment education. I'll send you a link. No big pitch at all. You can just have a one-to-one strategy session with my team and we'll figure out where you're at, where you want to get to, and if we can help you. Put education in, send you a link, all the of that stuff. Now, the reality is there's other educators. You might not relate to me. I'm guessing if you're watching my YouTube channel, you kind of think I'm all right, unless you're watching this far just to slag me off, which I'll just leave the comment now. I'd love to read it. But the reality is there are other educators out there. There are other people that can help you on your journey. But why do people invest in you? Like, think about that. If somebody's got $500,000, why would they give it to you? Because they have invested their time and energy creating value somewhere. Bear in mind, most people with money, it's because they've given an exchange of value. But they are busy giving that exchange of value, earning a shed ton of money now. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. So then they're valuing that and building up their cash pot. It is so much easier for them to invest that in you, either on a loan basis, a joint venture basis, or they can be a deal packaging client whilst you build your own portfolio or build up your business. Now, once you've done that, it's all about accelerating the journey. So let's just summarize what we've gone through there. We need to start with our OKRs. We need to understand our objectives and our key results. What's the outcome if we're looking to go? If we're going to go on this journey, what is the destination? We then get a correct understanding of where we're at. Once we've got there, we're then going to look at our strategy through the process of elimination. So this is going to look at your time that you've got, your skill set, your knowledge base right now, and of course your location. So you can really take that account of what journey, what vehicle are you going to use to get you from point A to point B as fast as possible? Is it the bike? Is it the car? Or is it actually we need a boat? Really weird analogy, but I'm going with it. And then once you're there, it's okay, what's going to help accelerate that journey? Well, it's going to be two things, finance and education. Yes, we can get in the rowing boat or we can get in the speedboat. But guess what? When we get in the speedboat, we need to know how to operate it, how to fix it if it goes wrong, and we need the bloody fuel. And the fuel is the money, the finance is going to accelerate and leverage your journey, which helps you go a lot faster and stronger. And of course, the skill set is going to come from your education. And by the way, like I said, if you want that to be with me, put education in the comments. I can help you out. We'll build out a strategy for you. And if we can help you do it, great. And if not, you just go away with a step-by-step guide. But there are other people available. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope this is a bit of a different video to what you normally watch on here. But ultimately, yes, it's interesting talking about money. Yes, it's interesting talking about all of these figures. But actually, we need to get a bit qualitative sometimes. We need to look at how we're actually going to achieve this. We need to look at the foundations, and you need to understand in the property game, the bigger the skyscraper you're trying to create, the deeper the foundations need to be. And if you want to learn the foundations, then you are in the right place. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hit the like if you got value, and I'll see you in the next video.